Y'all being here, but what I wanted to speak of real quick, and I won't be just a few minutes, but I don't really want to, I'm not going to take time to go into my Vemma story, but basically talk about the word belief. You know, we were talking about it earlier when we met about why. You have to have a powerful why. The stronger your why is, you'll find a way to do things. But the belief is the other part of the equation is just so vital. And I look back at parts of my life, and it's scary how belief played a part, and how some people sitting here right now, literally the difference between you eking out an income with Vemma, or maybe even quitting one day, or literally being financially free, will come down to that word belief. And when I discovered Verb, I didn't really know what I had in my hands on, didn't know much about it, found it by accident on the internet. And but it has 3.5 years later, and people like Matt Russell and Lewis Henry, who watched my success, they know when I got a $500 check. And they know now, they've seen me getting $7,000 checks. And they're like, holy cow, Dennis. I mean, Lewis called me when I was on my way here. What are we going to do to get me going? And I'm like, if you ever stop and listen, and let me show you what this is, you'll understand what we have a part of. And it's nothing that you have to push down people's throats. It's a very simple concept. But it does come down to having belief. And, you know, Sue was talking about that Vemma convention she was at, but that's the first Vemma convention I was at. We didn't know each other, but we were both there. Very similar situations. I had been a few months longer than her. But I think back to belief, and I go back to, first time I spoke in Vemma, I hit presidential, and I got to speak, and I told a story that got a lot of laughs, and it was a true story. And I was telling my daughter on the airplane ride here that your dad never dated in high school. And she's like, well, I thought that would be like, oh, that's cool, Dad. Instead, she's like, God, pathetic. Don't tell any of my friends that. But bottom line was, when I was in 3rd grade, I remember it as it was yesterday. Sally Hester sitting right next to me. I take out a little notepad that says, do I like you? Do you like me? Yes, no, or maybe. You know, give yourself 2 out of 3 chance, right? And she wrote back, I kid you not, didn't even check yes, no, or maybe. So I really don't know. I mean, maybe she said yes. But she wrote back, you have a big head. And that was the end of that relationship. And so that scarred me. That was 3rd grade. So by the time I'm a junior and senior in high school, still never asked anybody out for a date. Such a, you know, I'm going to pick this big head and throw it on somebody. And so finally in college, I started dating in college when somebody asked me out. I said, with the head and everything, okay, yeah. So that's when I started dating. So I said, but that was the level of belief. Someone made me believe something, and it's truly, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. I know everybody judged my head size right now. For a southern kid, it's okay. But I was like, it didn't matter whether it was right or whether it was true to me. And so then I thought about a situation. I coached, like you were talking about coaching, I coached football, basketball, baseball for like 8 years, all my kids' sports. And we had a kid on our team named Max on our baseball team. And he was sort of like the last kid I always picked. And we had my 14 kids, and they were all good. And I'm like, we got a championship. And they said, Dennis, we need you to pick up one more kid. I said, oh, please, God, that's not Max. And it was Max. I said, okay, so we take Max. Max always wore a football helmet. He never swung the bat the entire year. He would walk sometimes. Mostly he would strike out. But he never swung the bat. And so we're in a championship game, and we got runners on 1st and 2nd. We're down by 1 run. We've got to get a run in. It's 2 outs. Who's coming to bat? Max. And of course, because of my great coaching skills, I had to let him bat by the rules, so I could not even substitute for him. I put myself in that position that our whole season was on the line with Max. So Max gets up there, bats at the Max. Look, I know you hadn't swung the bat all season, but I believe in you, and what you're going to get up there, you're going to swing that bat and hit the ball. You got me? Yes, sir. And he gets up there and he buries in, strike. Didn't swing that bat. Time out. I leave 3rd base coach, go down there and say, hey, Max, what we just talked about, you got to swing that bat. You're going to swing that bat, we're going to lose the game, but that pitcher's going to throw 3 straight strikes because he knows you haven't swung the bat all season. So just swing. If you miss it, no big deal. Please tell me you're going to swing, right? Yes, sir. Gets back up there, throw the pitch, bat never leaves his shoulder, strike 2. I call timeout again, walk down to Max and Max, for God's sakes. God, just swing the bat. Yes, I said, no, you told me that last 2 times. You haven't swung it yet. So finally I told him, Max, look at that dugout. You see all those kids there? You want to just tell those kids that we're going to lose? Because we will lose if you don't swing that bat. But if you swing and strike out, we will all hug your neck, which I know the rest of the kids wouldn't, but I said, we should be proud of you for giving us a shot, because what you're saying by not swinging that bat is we don't get a shot, we don't get a chance. If you swing, Max, we got a chance. Trust me, just swing it. I don't care if you hit anything. gets up there, they throw the pitch, he swings the bat, and he literally hits the ball. And he hits it past the second baseman. And everybody is freaking out, including Max. And I'm yelling, "Run, Max, run!" And so he takes off to first base. And while this is happening, unfortunately, the outfielder was playing very shallow since Max had never hit the ball. And our guy was rounding third and trying to score, and they threw him out at home, and we lost. Every kid is crying, except for Max, who is jumping up and down on first base, excited as he did, because he made his hit. And the moral of that story was, it didn't change the outcome for us. But the next year, we have, A and B All-Stars. A is the best, B is second best, but they're still the All-Stars. And Max made the B All-Stars the next year for our Little League. A kid who, for literally 4 years straight, had never swung a bat. All because somebody believed into him enough to say, "I believe you can do it, I believe you can do it." And he eventually took the chance and did it. And so, when we got started in this business 3.5 years ago, when I started, I didn't know whether I would do well or not do well. I had no experience in network marketing. I come from a background that after I graduated college, graduated Bachelor of Science degree, and took a job selling insurance. When I was selling insurance, I was very average. And they had a contest to go to the Bahamas, and it was a 15-week contest. And I was very average. I wasn't doing that good at anything. And I get a call after 14 weeks. And it was, it was a 12-week contest, and I get a call after 11 weeks. And the top 15 out of this company, it's a company of about 500 people, top 15 get to go to the Bahamas on a cruise. And my boss called me and says, "Dennis, you got a chance to win this cruise. If you can sell $3,000 worth of insurance this next week," and I had never sold over 1,200. He said, "If you can sell 3,000, you're going on the cruise." And I think, "Oh my gosh, I must be in like 16th place. I can win this thing." And so I busted my tail that next week, and I actually sold $3,516 worth of insurance, won the cruise. But the cool thing about that story is, that night, that Sunday night when my boss called me, I wasn't in 16th place. I was in 42nd place. He was calling everybody just to get people to work. And if he had told me, "Dennis, you're in 42nd place," I'd have never tried. But I went out there every week thinking, "I'm in 16th. I got to get it. I got to get it." And I was able to do something that I'd never been able to do before. Now, the downside of that is that very next year I won every single award that company gave out. 18 awards were given out. I won all 18. And you can get a pretty swelled head when you do that. And 2 years later, I found myself literally sleeping in the backseat of my car, unemployed, going to take a job, a direct sales job in another town, and I lived in a little trailer back home, but I didn't have enough money for a hotel bill. And I was embarrassed to tell anybody. I knew my mother or dad would have loaned me money or given me money, but I didn't want to tell anybody. So I went to this town to work, and I slept in the backseat of the car. And as I slept in that backseat of the car, I was looking at the stars, and I was literally, tears, thinking, how did my life get like this? You're not, what are you going to achieve in life when you're sleeping in the backseat of your car, in your late 20s? And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm never even going to meet my soulmate. What girl's going to date you if you sleep in your car? Pick her up on a date and say, "You want to go to my house?" And she said, "Sure." He said, "Well, jump in the back seat." And, it sounds good in theory, it doesn't work. And so I'm sitting there, destitute, but I prayed, and somewhere, I felt God telling me, you're mentally more than this. That year that ended me up in that car, that year I made a little over $8,000. The following year I made $165,000 in the same sales arena that I'd been in, that I'd failed at previously. The only thing that changed was my belief level. Because I was the same guy that had failed, but now I believe I could do things. And that led to a career for a while that eventually led to me opening tanning salons. And y'all know that story. And been in that business for 19 years. So when Vemma came along, one of the things that motivated me about it was the plan B. I mean, I didn't need the money. I was making incredible money. Sundays was doing over $9 million a year. We were growing every year, and we were expanding. I'm like, I don't really need another job. But I thought, what if something happens to the tanning industry? And that's when the tan tax hit, and all different things were hitting, and rumors of things. I thought, God, anything ever went wrong with tan, I could find myself right back in that car. So I said, I might need a plan B. So I got into Vemma, and I did okay. I made about $500 or $600 a week, and then three things changed my life. Number one, I went to St. Louis and met Ruth Elliott for the first time. And she inspired me, and I told about that in Vegas. 3 months later, I did presidential, went from making $500 a week to making $2,000 a week, just on her telling that group of people that this guy's special, he can go all the way. And all of a sudden, I believed I could do it in Vemma. The second thing was, the very first person I met when I walked into their little reception area was Sue. Didn't know who she was. We got talking a little bit. And every 6 months or so at these events, we would see each other and talk further. And so I thought, man, I got to build this business because Ruth said I could do it. I can make a lot of money, and I want to keep kind of seeing that Sue girl. And I don't want to see her sitting in the back row. I want to see her hopefully I'll be speaking or something. And so that's where our connection grew.